Welcome back. I'm William, and this is the second and last video for Thunderhead. And then for the next video, we'll be taking on the Toll, which is the last book in the side series. These are the chapters 4 to 6. First, let's look at the events that transpired. Citra gleans her people her own way, which is giving them 1 month to live, and then letting the people choose how they want to die. Citra also meets with Rowan defending his role as Scythe Lucifer, and Citra originally opposing it, but then wanting Rowan to escape and not be caught. Third, we see Tiger meeting with Rowan to inform him that Rowan's father had been gleaned, and it was possibly revenge by one of the bad sides. And Rowan is told by Tiger that Tiger had received a job and was going to Texas, which was its charter region, meaning a special region where there were no cameras in private homes, which might be a foreshadowing. Now let's look at a Scythe's guide to gleaning. We looked at multiple sides from Scythe, the book Scythe, and this book, so I feel comfortable talking about the following 6 sides. Faraday. He's the first side we see in Scythe. He first does intense research using the Thunderhead data, and using the statistics, he picks his victims. And he always uses a new weapon for each kill. Second, Goddard and his elegy. Goddard massacres a lot of people at once and enjoys killing, which makes him the antagonist of this series or trilogy. He also is free from conscience, meaning he doesn't have compassion for people. And the sides following him are Scythe Rand and Chomsky. Rand usually uses blades and knives, and Chomsky likes fire and flamethrowers, which are flame related. Scythe Brahms. He is the first Scythe we see in the starting of Thunderhead. He is a minor antagonist, and he forces his victims to listen to him play the Brahms lullaby before gleaning them. He's also corrupted and takes bribes. Scythe Curie. She searches for random prey and attacks them suddenly without warning. She says that she looks for people who are stagnant and ready to conclude, meaning they don't want to follow through with their lives. And this isn't usually determined by age, but with the person. And she usually uses knives for the sudden movement. Scythe Anastasia. Scythe Anastasia is Citra, which is the new adorned scythe. She gives the victim a 1 month warning before gleaning them, which is very new in Scythedom. She thinks that giving them 1 month will help them sort things out, and she also lets victims choose their way to die. She gives them a poison at the start so that after the month passes, the poison will kill them. But the person can contact Scythe Anastasia before the month passes. Scythe Lucifer, or Rowan. He isn't declared a scythe, but he finds dishonorable sides and burns them with flame, which he claims is quick and painless, but it is frowned upon by Sides, and Scythe Constantine is in charge of catching him, though he has not been caught yet. He tries not to be biased between the New Order and the Old Guard, and tries to glean the sides with compassion. Vocabulary. Now, we still have the same amount of vocabulary. Please try to follow the format in your notes and fill out the missing the 3 more vocabs per chapter and 4 per song. We have an example, which is insolent. The definition is showing a rude and arrogant lack of respect. This is shown when Citra meets with Deborah, which is the first person she warns or gleans before and giving her a 1 month warning. The quote is, "How old are you?" The woman demanded, her tone accusatory and a little bit insolent. Uh, it used in a sentence, it can mean disrespectful or rude, like the mother reprimanded her son's insolent tone. Themes. Now, I believe that for the whole trilogy, the it revolves around the difference between the fighting difference between AI, which is Thunderhead, and the self-interest of and other human traits of Side, and how they interact and how humans cause themselves to be in their own harm. Now, first we look at true self and its mask. We look at some evidence in chapter 4, which proves this theme. So first, Citra meets with Devra Murray, which is the busy lady who Citra says is fearful of idleness, meaning she's always busy and doesn't stop. Devra was taking a phone call when Citra touches her, and basically, Devra does not notice her because she was so busy. Devra finally, after Citra touches her, slows down and puts her life in perspective. Devra later disgraces Citra, hoping that someone will cause her the suffering that she causes others. Now let's look at this in different perspectives. We have 3 options. Option 1, Devra is a bitter woman that surrounds herself with something to do so that she doesn't have to be her true self. You can see a quote from Oscar Wilde, who is a famous Irish poet. He says, "Man is least himself when he talks in his own person. Give him a mask and he will tell you the truth." Now you see that all of these different options will have something to do with people and their mask. Option 2. Deborah is merely the work that she does, and the busyness she is her true self. She is only bitter to cope with the grief, meaning the disrespectful words she said to Citra is just like a defense mechanism that because she didn't have enough time to cope with how she was going to die. Now, we have a quote from Agatha Christie, which is a famous author for writing very good mystery novels and murder and crime novels. Notable ones are Murder on the Orient Express and Then There Were None. She says the human face is, after all, nothing more nor less than a mask. When she says this, she means that the human face is the mask, and there's actually nothing else behind it, and we are actually the mask we embrace ourselves in. Now we look at the third option. Option 3. Deborah becomes comfortable with being busy and later embodies her fear of idleness and later fits in the mask. Now the difference between this and number 2 is that option 2 thinks that she already is the work that she is, but for number 3 it means she fits into the mask and grows to fit it. When she puts her life into perspective, her mask slowly melts away to show her true self, which is a generally bad person because she was so bitter. Now we look at a quote from George Orwell, who is also a famous author. He wrote 1984 and Animal Farm, which are which are really good dystopian novels. And both authors, George Orwell and Agatha Christie, are notable authors that you should check out. He says he wears a mask and his face grows to fit it. This meaning when a person puts on a mask, he becomes the mask and embodies the mask. Okay, some questions for this theme: true self and its mask. First question: which perspective of this event do you think is true? Now, there's option 1, 2, and 3, and if you don't agree with any of them, please explain yourself and write it down in the lines provided below. 2, how will this be different in a real world where there is no mortality? I mean this by saying if a doctor tells a patient that they only have 1 month left to live, how will their reaction be different from this scenario? Number 3, do you think Citra's method of killing is compassionate or immoral, and why? Because some sides think that Citra's methods are barbaric and new, and Citra defends it by saying that diseases from our age, which is the mortal age, as Citra calls it, the diseases are a warning, but they don't immediately kill the person. So Citra believes that her way of killing is a lot like a disease. But is this better or worse than just immediately cleaning the person, and why? Okay, our second theme in the self-interest umbrella: immortality and mortality. Sidedom and Thunderhead both take place in a world where immortality makes death seems casual, and generally people have a more extended life. Here's a list of the differences between our world and theirs. Splatting and other injuries. Now, suicide in our world is very serious and very frowned upon. But in their world, suicide is merely a thrill, and it's as much as skydiving to us. Now, advancements have been made in our world to make things like skydiving and bungee jumping possible. But if a person from 300 years back looks to our skydiving and bungee jumping, they would probably frown upon it like how we frown upon splatting. Now, originally, now also injuries, which are both purposeful and accidental, can now be treated in the Scythe and Thunderhead books, except fire and acid, which is later mentioned. Now, this means that people can be less careful, but is that better or worse? Okay, second, we have stagnant in life. Since the Thunderhead now rules over all of government, and everything is basically found and known and within a person's grasp, because Thunderhead is always listening and can provide you with everything. Now, and because there's nothing new, people stay bored because they don't need to do anything, and their perpetual work leads to no true outcome, so they get no sense of award or achievement. Now people are full of unrest because of this, and they can't do anything or don't want to, because everything is basically already done, and they're plagued by sloth. Okay, religion. Now in the story, every religion is basically gone and becomes vestigial, which is a word from last video. And the remnants of religion becomes the Thonists. Became the Thonists and their beliefs. The Thonists believe that they believe in the great resonance, which is a sound, because they think sound is more or better than sight. They also frown upon unnatural deaths, so they have a tendency to dislike sides, and sides such as Scythe Curie and other sides all despise Tonists for being different, and they're also hated by Scythe Goddard, proven when he massacres a whole a Tonist temple, and doesn't think much of it. They also think that the great vibration, which is stand-in for great resonance, because tonists don't believe, sometimes think it's the great resonance and sometimes think it's the great vibration. They believe that it will free them from stagnation. And tonist doctors also use our method, which is the mortal age techniques, to treat injuries such as casts. Okay, some questions about immortality and mortality. How have different characters' actions reflect on the difference between the real world and their world? The second question is stagnation in the characters' lives caused by the Thunderhead, or is it because they haven't or don't want to explore or don't have the ability to be curious anymore? Third, do you think that this is a realistic representation if we do actually conquer death? Or is Thunderhead a part of the problem? Now, this is it for the lesson, but I want to leave you with one last thing. In the rest of the book, please look for subtle clues about different details that might come up in the toll. Now, pay attention to Grace and Tolliver, Tiger, the Unsavories, and the Tonus, and more. These characters will play a sizable role to the end of Thunderhead and leading up to the beginning of the toll. Now you have to figure out the character's motives, and especially the antagonists, because they have something you before you can predict them. You can before if you predict their motives before they actually happen, it might work well for you, and you can see how they act with different characters, and the book will be more enjoyable if you do so. Now, also stay alert for returning characters because there will be returning characters. Okay, thank you for the lesson. Thank you for listening into the lesson. If you have any questions, just feel free to contact me, and bye. I'll see you next time for the Toll chapters 1 and to 3.